Scorpio, this is your July 2022 soul story. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have a sun rising or your moon is in the sign, this is a reading for you. This is Romy. Thank you for tuning into the channel. So we are into Cancer season, a fellow water sign, and there's much about this month that is going to be working harmoniously with you. The overall theme for us in July is about going deeper. We're all being tested in many ways, and the lessons that we're here to learn are being highlighted to us in more vibrancy and technicolor than we've perhaps felt before this point. Now we're opening up your reading with the energy of the Empress, and it's not really about what it is that you do this month, Scorpio. It's who you become in the process. And of course, when we're working with Cancerian energy, is about the reminder that we have to focus on the way in which we inner parent ourselves. We have to give time, compassion, kindness and love to the self. We have this beautiful expression here and all of the flowers in full bloom. And there is something here about the way in which your heart has fully expanded and that you're really ready to receive and to acknowledge something about yourself, about your life. It's going to be a very self-reflective time. Now we're going to open up the month with a little bit of a tense square going on between Mars and Pluto. It's volatile and it's intense, and it might bring about some uncomfortable thoughts and feelings or exchanges. And yet as we leave July, we leave on the note of the sun trining with Jupiter, a lucky auspicious time. And so really my sense is that the heaviness and some of the burdens that we're entering into July with have a tremendous opportunity to be resolved. And as we look to the Empress being your guide, there's something here that really brings about a state of peace, embodiment for you, gratitude actually for the experience in terms of how it's shaping you, what you're gaining from it. So I have a sense for you, Scorpio, that we're going to be experiencing conversations this month that are going to oscillate you between this kind of nervous anticipation, even excitement about some of the ways in which you're seeing changes show up in your life, and at the same time like this sort of paralyzing doubt. And we've got to remember sometimes that is often acting as a catalyst for change, because when we have that kind of a doubt or that sense of feeling stuck, or even where we move into kind of the inertia or the ambivalence, there's an opportunity for us to kind of really feel into that void space. And you've got the Four of Swords here, and in fact that word void might be something that crosses your lips more than once this month of July. In that kind of liminal space, you're being invited to really pause and to consider what is showing up for you, and really take a check as to the reactions that you're having on an emotional level. Yeah, we have a really powerful full moon coming in the sign of Capricorn this month. It's going to be happening on the 13th of the month. So it's another supermoon. It's the closest full moon to the earth in 2022, and it's going to be squaring Chiron, the wounded healer planet. Now Chiron's going to go retrograde this month of July, a little bit later on in the month, on the 19th. And in Aries, it's going to dig up some of the wounds that we have around our sense of independence, our sense of being able to assert ourselves, to make those choices and decisions, and the ways in which we've been triggered or experienced trauma in that way. You can see how the review and the going back over is already been sort of highlighted with some of the decisions that have been made over in the US. So we have the Four of Swords here. That's a time of quietness and stillness for you. And for you this month, it's really an appreciation of not just learning the information, but actually being able to actively shift the energy to align with its truth. And so I think you're going to need some time. You're going to need a break from sort of the absorbing of things to actually stand back. And in many ways, the Empress is a very receptive energy. She's fully come into her own being, which means she understands how the energy, the cycles, the seasons work around her. The Four of Swords, you are lying in a very sedentary position here, relaxed and just letting those feathers fall around you. So let it be is the way that you manage to move through this energy of the void, because it's not hanging around you for long. And if you have this sense of feeling like almost like a non-belonging in this world right now in your own life, it's because you're being asked to create something new. And if you haven't had the direction or the inspiration or the insight to how to approach that yet, this is the month that you're being asked and invited to go deeper to find that answer. Now, this full moon in Capricorn really going to highlight those relationships both personally and professionally. Not only do we have the square for Chiron, we also have a trine with Uranus and sextile to Neptune and the asteroid goddess Juno, who's in Pisces right now. So what it means is this is going to be a really honest and direct full moon. We're going to be able to have those uncomfortable conversations that are going to feel vulnerable, but we emerge from it with an opportunity to really reevaluate, knowing what we need to release, and in a sense feeling more whole and integrated in some area of our lives. So I think it can be exceptionally auspicious for you if you're looking to make those major turning point decisions, really get clarification on where you stand and actually speak your truth in some regard. Now, the Seven of Pentacles suggests here that there is a level of sort of impatience. There's a level of feeling a bit frustrated, and maybe it's because our expectations of where we would be or where we thought someone else would be, or something that feels out of sync, out of kilter, out of alignment with how you were feeling, of what was being guided to tell you, like in which ways you're supposed to be moving in your life. And so it can be incredibly frustrating when we look at the physical evidence and it's not reflecting what we've been feeling internally. And sometimes we have to kind of unplug from that physical evidence and we have to return back into the heart space. Yeah, because that's where the true answer is going to lie for you this month. So I'm going to encourage you to stop looking outside of yourself to see the evidence and the validation, because there are many, many things that need to come together. And the harvest time, the fruits of your labor, the things that need to come together for you to be able to fulfill what you're meant to on your soul journey are all in hand. Yeah, so what we need to do right now is kind of get out of the way and stop focusing on when it's coming and return back into sitting in with the self. Now, the Seven of Pentacles also suggests to me that there is change coming, especially on a professional capacity for some of you. It may be a break from certain type of work. You might be reevaluating what you feel more aligned with. There may be new job opportunities or interviews that are surfacing for some of you. Now, Pallas Athena, asteroid goddess, is shifting into Gemini on the 4th of the month. Remember, Athena is all about our strategy. She gives us wisdom and a sense of empowerment. And in Gemini, moving very quickly with that mercurial air energy, we have a creative intelligence. There's a balancing out between our intuition and our logic. And that's important because you might want to be reevaluating some of the plans that you've had to make sure that it's taking into account actually what your body is telling you right now. Because if your body's asking you to rest and all of a sudden you've geared up for some kind of major event or you've stacked your diary full, then there's a disconnect there. Now, it's not to say we have to change everything, but we have to find that kind of that midway, because this is a month where you're starting to listen much more to the body and really responding in the way that you're taking action and how you're speaking to yourself and others, and it's important. So Pallas Athena and Gemini helping to almost build that bridge, if you like, between the plans that you're making, the strategies you're putting into place, and also where your intuition is guiding you. We also have Vesta, asteroid goddess, shifting retrograde in Pisces on the 7th of the month. Now remember, she is all about what is most sacred to us, that sacred inner flame. When she's going retrograde in Pisces, we're getting a strong pull to revisit our boundaries. Oh, okay, so we have Four of Pentacles and we have this kind of closed gates. It's a perfect analogy really for reasserting boundaries. You maybe have worked hard on them, but for whatever reason in the last few weeks or months, they've maybe wavered a little bit. So this is a time through the month of July, a little bit of introspection, going back in, nourishing, devoting, being kinder to the self and realizing, actually, do you know what, I really I'm not following through with that knowing where that boundary needs to exist, or I've not followed through with that promise I made to myself. And so there's a lot of work that we can revisit during that Vesta transit backwards through Pisces, okay? But the full moon is going to be important. It's also going to be very stabilizing with Capricorn energy. It holds us, it's healing and it's helpful. And that Four of Pentacles says to me, look, there's a firm foundation for you to be able to step in and feel more empowered, to be able to reveal parts of yourself, to own who you are, to be unafraid in the authentic expression of what you need to say to others during that time. Now, as we move past the full moon, we're going to welcome Venus shifting into Cancer. So highly sensitive, which is beautiful for that closer sense of intimate exchange with people in your life, and puts a strong emphasis around our feeling of safety. Remember, Venus also rules our relationship to money. And so what we're addressing here is what is going to make us feel safe. You know, how much do we need to have in the bank before we think we're okay? Is that even a mirage or an illusion? Is it not that we need to address how strong we feel, how safe we feel within who we are? So Venus in Cancer is going to be an incredibly positive time to sort of get really up close and personal, deeply intimate with some of these conversations, both in love relationships and your money story and your value consciousness. We need to remember there's also a little passive aggressive energy that comes through with Venus in Cancer. So, you know, during this month, as everyone's being triggered and tested, invited to be going deeper, trying to address their own behavior, you're going to have people kind of a little inconsistent. You're going to have people projecting where they feel really uncomfortable. So keep that in mind, because it also can translate as a lot of irritability or moodiness coming through in some relationships as well. But I have a sense this month you're really searching for something, Scorpio. And it's kind of going to the next level, you know, so it may be familiar to you in terms of its context. You know, it's a theme or an area of your life that you've for a while felt is kind of a little bit out of sorts, and you're trying to find the key to unlock something. The Eight of Swords says, remember, the cage door is already open. You already have your wings here. But this void, this stillness, this deep inner contemplation is really important. You've placed yourself in that cage for a reason. There's not this sense of it having happened to you. At a deeper soul level, you understood that in the listlessness, in this opportunity to kind of really review where this resistance is coming from, we need to remember it's kind of like the water, right? You have this like surface churn, but beneath it is this beautiful, calm, clear, crystal water. So with each instance through the course of this month where high stress or anxiety or these uncomfortable emotional feelings surface for you, I need you to just kind of almost visualize yourself like diving deeper, much down, into the ocean depths, because that's where you're going to find your crystal clear clarity. Now, everything that shows up this month is not random. It has deep meaning weaved into it, but you have to decode what that personal meaning is for you, right? It's like me doing a reading, and for every single person that tunes in, they'll take something different from it. It will be personal to them in a completely different way. And so what we have to recognize is what your sign is not going to be the same as what someone else's. And so that kind of understanding of how you're decoding what your personal conversation is with your higher self and your guides this month is also the way through that Eight of Swords situation. But remember, it's also something that we can, when we're ready, come to terms with and release. Now, what is causing this? Five of Swords. It's the kind of ghost energy here. Perhaps you're feeling ghosted. Perhaps it's a ghost from the past. Perhaps you're feeling a ghost version of yourself. You know, there's something here that feels a little vacant, void, checked out. And the Five of Swords can also depict those uncomfortable setbacks, especially when they feel like they're coming in a succession, and that's always the way, isn't it? Like when we're on the up and up, everything comes together beautifully, and then when we hit those kind of speed bumps in the road, sometimes it's like 3 or 4 or 5, one after another, and it's really easy to then sort of sink us into that paralyzing doubt that we talked about at the beginning of the reading. But just beneath that, again, is this anticipation that's reminding you of actually where you truly sit, which is absolutely an Empress energy. Again, she brings creative solutions to the table. And that's the most important thing to understand about the second half of this year. There's so much reprogramming going on within you. There's so much being asked of you in terms of unplugging from what you are observing that feels tense and heavy and leaves you feeling disillusioned and despondent. You have to create your understanding of where you're being guided. And sometimes those external shocks to the nervous system happen so that you will directly return back into the heart space. So yes, there may be some disappointments or setbacks that arise this month. Yes, they may initially kind of catapult you into this high stress state. But what that gets to do is remind you of how much work you've already invested, how far you've come, how you know what you know, the amount of occasions that you've actually been able to navigate over that you've come through it. And this is the thing that I want to really remind you of. You will come through this, whatever this represents for you. You've done it before. You've done it in ways that were even more intense than what you might be experiencing right now. So as we kind of approach that Chiron retrograde, it's of course going to trigger all of us, but we also have the advantage of moving into this beautiful, strong sun energy of Leo. Mercury shifts into the sign on the 19th. On the 22nd, we welcome the sun. And then we have the asteroid goddess Ceres moving into Leo as well. Here we have more self-assuredness. We have this kind of ability to harness and step into that part of ourselves that's ready to kind of really own the stage a little bit. Now, a reminder, I do the goddess reports. You can find your own personal natal chart and receive insights as how 12 of the goddess energies impact you. So you can find the details for that in the description and the comment section underneath Scorpio. But I have a sense for you as you move into that sort of second part of the month and we work up the 10th house activation for you. There's this sense of like, okay, it has to have meaning, yeah? So you're going back over everything that you've experienced and you're trying to make sense of it from a new perceptive understanding, and that's really important, and you will be given it by your guides. So it's not just going to feel like it was fruitless. There's actually going to be something that emerges from this that's really like a gift to behold. Now, your Knight of Pentacles again suggests that there has to be consistency over perfection. There has to be consistency over the shortcuts that sometimes we want to feel. There has to be consistency over that desire for instant gratification. Putting the work in, which you have, yields the results. Sometimes it comes a little bit slower, 7 of Pentacles, Knight of Pentacles, but sometimes that means it's more robust and it gives us a more solid foundation with which to build upon. So you also need to keep that in mind if you're feeling a little bit frustrated that all of a sudden the timelines feel like they're kind of moving in opposite directions from one another. They're kind of making you feel a little bit disparate or scattered in your energy. Remember, if the invitation here is to go deeper, it's not about striving further out ahead into the external reality. It's that the key to unlock and actually give you a quantum leap, if you like, is going to be in a different place than where you thought it was. Now, we also have that coming through in terms of other people. So there may be recovery. I have a sense of the theme of recovery coming through for some of you. That might be important in relation to some of the people that you're connected to professionally, personally, romantically. Now, Juno is retrograde in Pisces from the 25th right through till October. What does she teach us? How to relate to others. What are we going to be asking at this time? What am I sacrificing? So if there's a recovery, if there's a kind of finding middle ground or finding a way to come back together or to find a neutrality so that we can actually move things forward in a way that we need to. The deeper question that you're being invited to consider is, what am I sacrificing? What am I giving up in this? Does it feel good? Is it something that my body, my mind, my soul can tolerate? Is it okay for me? Remember, the themes of Pisces are going to be inviting reflections around your artistry, your muse, your creativity. Is this all being honoured in the connections and contracts that you are a party to or invested in? You know, is there themes of addiction, of escapism, of disillusionment and fantasy that need to be addressed and cleared out before you can meaningfully move forward? Now you've got the Wheel of Fortune coming in, Jupiter connection here as it's Sagittarius ruled this card. Now we have Jupiter going retrograde in Aries on the 28th of the month, as well as that trine at the end of the month. So when Jupiter goes retrograde, and remember in Aries we've made some really impulsive decisions in terms of our expansion and growth. Now we get to stop and pause and go, okay, was that the right approach? Was that the right way forward? It's about the expansion that's going to happen on the inside now, as opposed to externally in your life. All of the wheels shifting and changing behind her dress here, but the heart is highlighted. So too is the clock here. So there's definitely a timing thing that's coming in. What I need you to know is that even though we've got some of this slow, steady, consistent progress that can feel a bit frustrating or feel like it's marred with some setbacks through the month, we also then have the Wheel of Fortune coming in that says actually everything can turn on a dime and fast. And when it does, that's when you have to be ready to say, okay, yeah, I'm all in. That's when we oscillate between all of a sudden the paralyzing doubt and now we're super excited and exuberant, and it's like, okay, this feels like it's going somewhere. Not only is it going somewhere, it's more than I ever thought or ever anticipated it could be. So we have the choice there. Wheel of Fortune says the wheel is always turning, the seasons are always changing, but it comes in kind of disruptively, you know, so be prepared for that. There's a lot of stillness in your reading. There's a lot of passive, receptive energy. But once we've taken what we need from that, then when the time comes and the universe steps in and says, okay, we're about to deliver, fate's lending a hand to this situation now. What are you going to do with it? 8 of Pentacles. I'm going to go to work. I'm going to say yes. Going to show up. Going to take on this level of mastery for myself because it's deeply transformative. This is why you get the gift in the month of July. This is why you understand why you had to feel that way. This is when you realize that actually the inertia, the ambivalence, the void, the uncertainty, the doubt, all of it was just this beautiful doorway into something new, into something different for yourself. Strong emphasis on work this month. Not surprised with that 10th house energy. I think for many of you in that area of your life, you're set to see some big shifts and changes, major turning points. From a relationship perspective, there is work to do. Yeah, for some of you it might feel like a mountain, but remember that full moon in Capricorn, who better to scale the mountains than the seagull, yeah? And it will help us navigate our way endlessly, tirelessly, all the way to the top. And that sensitivity of the water energy in Cancer season helps support that for you. So you absolutely have what you need to make this month work for you. You just have to work with it, Scorpio, not against it. That's the thing that's coming through really strongly, okay? So as you're searching for something, make that search within the self. I want to get to know who I am now in more colour and vibrancy than I ever have before. That should be like the most important directive and prioritization that you have in July, because that's where you'll get all of the answers. That's where your body will tell you, this is what I need, this is what we're addressing, this is where we're going. Okay, so let's have a look and see how the oracle cards just want to reflect this reading for you. My home is my castle. Beautiful. Okay, so obviously when we're working with Cancer and Capricorn energy through that first part of July, it's all about our sense of safety and security, both emotionally and physically. Now, the castle is actually an extension of her. And this is the thing to remember, yeah? Your home, your sense of belonging, your sense of rootedness and safety and security has to be built up and strengthened within you. You're being given some of the tools to reevaluate and return, I think, to that place. Get to know again the part of you that is going to help to build that. You are eternally worthy of everything that you want to achieve and aspire to in your life. And you have to feel safe and secure within who you are. That's the energy of the Empress coming through for you. That's the soul work that you're embarking on at this moment in time. But even the castle as a sort of metaphor through your reading this month is a sense of grandness, a sense of safety. You know, it's a sense of enduring energy. Again, that Four of Pentacles. Everything's about what I'm putting in place right now for myself through these shifts and changes on an emotional, spiritual level are not just helping me in the now. They're actually things that I'm going to fall back on in the coming weeks, months and years. So it's really transformative energy around this. Okay, astrology card for you, Scorpio. Let's take a look here. Uranus, radically change. Okay, now we have a trine with Uranus, which is in Taurus right now, happening at that full moon in Capricorn. Okay, so that's why I'm saying it's such a deeply healing, transformative energy. It really is holding you. But there's also that capacity for shock and surprise coming in with Uranus. When it's a trine, it should come in positively. So I think it's about the revelations that happen within you, but also perhaps from other people when you're having those really honest, vulnerable conversations during that time of the full moon, okay? But this radical change is also an invitation to say, you know, if you don't feel that something is working, it's time to create the version of your reality that will work for you. And that's never going to be coming from things outside of you. It has to be the way in which you shift your own energy field, yeah? A reminder, my own deck, Life Soul Vision Oracle, is coming out at the end of July. You can pre-order. Thank you so much for those of you who have already done so. You can find all of the details for it in the comment and description and link over to my website. Can't wait to start using that with you as well next month. Okay, so this is a general reading for the month of July, Scorpio. I'm going to go ahead and invite you to think about a personal question that might not have come up in the main spread right now, okay? We will pull you a couple of personal cards for that, and if you are new to the channel, we cover this off in the extended version of this reading. The extended version really helps me to continue to show up, to do the free readings every month. So if it's resonating for you, then I look forward to welcoming you there. You can find the links for that underneath the video in the comment and description field. Okay, I'm going to clarify this Empress energy right now, see where we're going to take this reading in the extended. Nine of Fire. All the decks that I use as well, by the way, are also listed. Okay, we have the Queen of Air here. Love this depiction of the Queen of Swords in this deck. We have the Hierophant. Beautiful. As you're learning this month. Five of Cups. Three of Fire. Two of Pentacles here. And the Sun. Lovely. Page of, oh no, that's a Knight actually, Messenger. Knight of Cups. Ace of Swords coming in there, beautiful, clarification. Six of Swords. Okay, we have the Devil coming in here. And the Page of Cups. Oh, another Wheel of Fortune. Interesting, Scorpio. Lovers. Oh, we got Temperance there. We got some lovely clarifiers this month. Lots of majors coming in. We've got the Moon. Queen of Wands, fire sign, Aries, Sagittarius, Leo, perhaps. Ten of Cups, and I'll put that one down because it fell out. The Six of Pentacles. And finally, High Priestess. Right, beautiful. Leave it there. Okay, if you're joining me for the extended, I will see you there. Otherwise, have a beautiful month of July. And thanks for tuning in. You take